All right, and welcome to the TSG Multimedia video podcast for April 1st. Dan, they made a holiday just for me.
Yeah.
For April 1st. This is John sitting with
Dan.
And happy April Fool's Day, everybody. And we're looking at something that has become actually a pretty popular piece, Dan.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is the Athearn SD40-2.
Right.
And it looks the same as it looked last time we saw it, with the nice detailed out fuel tank there.
Right. That's about the only part of it that's kind of detailed at this point.
Yeah.
So this, in case anybody hasn't seen the other episodes, this is going to be Santa Fe 5126. That's
right.
The prototype that I picked. 5126 is a late production snoot nose SD40-2 painted in the blue and yellow war bonnet scheme.
Right.
Okay.
Santa Fe.
Not
sure we mentioned that yet.
Yeah. It's going to be as it appeared in the 1990s, with lowered headlight and ditch lights. And all that. So what we've done so far is to detail the fuel tank area. In previous episodes, I filed down the ends, made new end caps, and last time it went through and added these fuel gauges and that kind of thing, and also some traction motor cables in the fuel tank area on the chassis. So today I want to move on and start working on the body a little bit, and I'm going to work on the pilots.
Okay.
And this will be like a preliminary step, because there'll be more detail on the pilots later, but I want to do all of the major surgery on the engine first before I start adding fragile details.
Yeah. Otherwise it could get knocked off pretty easily, huh?
Right. Now, one thing I want to point out, this is one of the older Athearn SD40-2 blue box shells that has the mounting pin holes on the side. And as you can see, they're empty. That's because the pins have already been cut off of this frame. So right now, there's nothing holding this on.
Yeah. It's very loose.
Right. So this older version of the shell also has a big opening in the pilot area. So what I want to do is, Details West makes this little part. It's number 195, and it's called a pilot buffer.
A pilot buffer.
Yeah.
That's not to be confused with a buffed pilot, right?
Yeah. So this basically goes in this area here and fills it. Now I'm going to have to make some modifications, because as this part is right now, the opening in it is too small to fit a Katy coupler box.
Okay,
so
yeah.
It's gonna have to be modified.
Why do you do this to yourself, Dan?
Because this is fun, John.
Yeah. Really fun.
The other thing is, the coupler mounting pad here on the chassis extends actually out into where the pilot buffer part is going to go.
Yeah, it looks like it's flush with what's there.
Right. So what I need to do is cut that back. Okay, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the idea here is, once the pilot buffers are mounted, and I'm going to reinforce them with some styrene and things like that, then when the couplers are in the engine, that will actually prevent the shell from being taken off. So it's a structural part. So this has to be done fairly well. So I've marked each of the coupler mounting pads with some pencil. I'm just going to cut just a little bit off each one. And I've also removed the truck so I don't get any metal shavings in the gears.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So I checked, and it looks like I cut enough off the frame that I now have enough clearance to put the pilot buffers in there.
I have a question, Dan.
Yeah.
It might seem like a dumb question, but I'm watching you do all this stuff. This is our, fourth episode working on this model?
Uh-huh.
And it looks to me like it's barely scratching the surface of what needs to be done or what you're going to do to it.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to do to it yet.
So the question is, why not just, doesn't somebody make one that's already prototypical? I mean, it's so much work. It almost seems like it's too much work.
It depends on how exacting you are.
Yeah.
There are other SD40-2 models. My other choice for a starting point would be a Cato, because they're really nice runners.
Yeah.
But even though those need a lot of detailing, so it depends. Some people are happy with something that looks sort of close to what they want and has the right paint job on it.
Yeah.
Me, I want every last little antenna to be in the right place. you know, and if you're like that, any engine's going to need work.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that, you know, I have several of these old blue box engines laying around. You know, with enough work, they actually become really nice models.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the alternative? Just get rid of them? I mean, I'd rather just do something with them.
Yeah. So are you saying that Athearn came out with these before Cato came out with theirs?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So you just have a whole bunch sort of in surplus, if you will, and you're going to do something.
Not a whole bunch. I have maybe 2 or 3 more of these.
Well, I mean, that's enough, though, because
Yeah.
2 or 3 new engines would cost you $200 or $300, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, thereabouts.
Yeah.
Especially Catos, because they're pretty expensive, aren't they?
They can be. If you
Yeah.
can get them used, you know, you maybe get a little better deal than that. But yeah, they usually go for fairly good prices.
Okay, so really what I'm hearing then is that it's better to fix something that you already have and make it what you want than to go buy something else because you're going to have to work on it anyway.
Well, like I said, that's me.
Yeah.
Not everybody may have that same outlook, but you know.
Did you know? I would be more inclined to just figure out something else that doesn't need an SD40-2. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna model just 1890s now.
Well, you know, if, the Athearn Genesis F units are really nice, and they're pretty good out of the box.
Mhm.
So if you know model that era, you know.
Well, I guess maybe then Athearn. Are you listening? Maybe an Athearn. Would you call it a Genesis? An Athearn Genesis
if
SD40.
Athearn made a
model?
Genesis SD40-2, it would probably need less work.
Well,
There have been other ones released. You know, there have been, I think, Broadway Limited and Intermountain have put out SD40-2s and probably some others. But I just, you know, I want them just so.
yeah.
And so any one of them that I've seen, it would still require work.
Right. And, you know, I mean, we are now sort of in a new century of modeling. I've noticed that a lot of the newer models, especially on our product reviews, have very good and prototypically accurate details like that. So maybe
Right.
somebody's, you know, going to bring one of these things out that's more...
Probably right about the time I finish with the ones that I have.
Of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the way to do it.
Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
so I test fit my little part and with the frame inside, and it has enough clearance. There's actually a little bit more clearance in the back than in the front for some reason. But in any case, it fits in there. And before I put it on, I want to get rid of some of the stuff on here that I don't want. Like there's these funny little pieces of plastic sticking out on the bottom here, which aren't on any photos I found of the real engine. So I'm going to get rid of those. Also, there's these little nubs where the MU hoses are supposed to attach.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to cut those off and drill the holes out.
Oh, are you going to attach aftermarket hoses too with pegs on them?
Right.
Oh, got it.
So the reason I want to drill the holes out now is so I don't lose where they go, because I'm going to do a lot of work on this Pilot eventually. And if I just cut them off and don't do anything, then it might be hard to figure out where I'm supposed to drill the holes later.
Yeah.
You know, so it's easier right now if I cut them off, there'll be little scars where they were, and then I can just drill those spots out.
Right.
So for now, I'm just using a number 78 drill. I could use a little bigger one later if I need to make a bigger hole, but at least this way there will be a hole there. So now I've finished drilling all the holes. And like I said before, I want to remove these pieces here that stick out. I also need to remove the anti-climber in the front because this engine has a different type of anti-climber on it. And I'm going to remove these little stubs where the uncoupling lever mounts would be, so I can put different ones on later.
So even the uncoupling levers are okay.
Well, yeah, see, the aftermarket ones, the aftermarket brackets, I should say, that I'll use may need to be mounted in slightly different places, so I'm not going to pre-drill those. I'm just going to cut them off. But to remove these bigger pieces of plastic, it's going to take several steps. I'm going to start with my motor tool and grind off as much as I can without damaging the rest of the Pilot.
All right.
Okay, now I can chisel some more with my X-Acto blade. So now I've used the knife to carve off what was left of the little pieces on the bottom, the anti-climber, and also the mounts for the uncoupling levers. I am trying to preserve the little brackets above where the MU hoses go.
And why is that?
Because those are very difficult. I don't know of any aftermarket parts for that.
Oh, but
So
they're accurate though.
they're fine where they are. So I want to keep all that, but get rid of almost everything else. And now I'm just using some sandpaper wrapped around a piece of 040 styrene to use as a kind of sanding block. And I'm starting with 240 grit paper, and I'll work my way down to 400.
Almost like a polishing process, really.
Yeah, yeah. I find for a model that's going to be painted normal colors, you don't really have to go any further than 400 grit. So now the front pilot is pretty cleaned up.
Yeah, it looks pretty flat.
Yeah. Fortunately, this model already has the notches cut in the corners, so I don't have to do that step. Some models don't have that. They have just a square corner. Now, there's one more step on the back end. Now, this is one of those areas where I'm probably being really fussy.
So, is that to... Okay. No, go ahead.
As near as I've been able to determine from photos, and it's really, really hard to find photos of the back end of most engines. There's a little, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little triangular shaped fillet underneath this back anti-climber. Or
It escapes me, even without looking on the camera.
well, see this. There's this part that sticks out right here.
Right.
Okay. Well, you see how it's not just flat underneath. There's a little kind of
It's a little slope.
a little sloped
I see what you're
area.
talking about.
I'm talking
Yeah.
a triangular in cross section is what I mean.
Yeah, I got it. It's like a slope. I was looking for a triangle.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So as near as I've been able to determine on this particular engine, this little slopey part shouldn't be there.
You're kidding.
No. But this part should be.
Oh.
So what I need to do is cut out the slopey part, but not cut out that.
How do you do that?
Very carefully. So I'm going to do the same basic thing. I'm going to start by rough cutting it with the motor tool.
Ooh, you better be real careful.
Real careful, yeah. So now I'm going to get it with the knife very carefully.
I'm going to feel real smart when I say the answer to this question, and next it'll be sandpaper, right?
Right. Okay, so I've mostly carved it down very carefully with the knife.
Yep.
And I'm just going to smooth it out with some sandpaper like I did the other parts.
It's like I'm a psychic or something.
Yeah.
I can foretell the future. Wait, are those psychics or clairvoyants?
I'm not sure.
No. I'll go consult my tarot cards and figure out which one's which.
Okay, you do that while I'm sanding.
Okay.
All right, so that's pretty much it for that.
So the part that you took off, if I understand correctly, was bridging this, right?
Right. It was the little fillet in between this part that sticks out and the pilot.
Got it. Okay. So, Dan, I consulted the tarot cards.
Uh-huh.
And they told me to check with the Ouija board.
Okay. You do that.
What is this metal piece?
This is that Details West part that I had earlier.
Okay.
Now, this fits inside the pilot opening from the back,
Oh.
but it's got these little nubs on it. I think the idea is you're supposed to drill holes that these will fit into. The trouble is that I'm not sure how you're supposed to determine where to drill the holes.
So what are you going to do?
I'm just going to file them off.
What, and just fit it as closely as you can? I mean, couldn't you
Yeah.
just put a dab of paint on it or something? Or
Yeah, you could, but honestly, I've done this before, and I haven't found that it's really necessary to put the holes in there.
Okay.
I guess it's for some added reinforcement, but I haven't found it's really that important.
Okay.
So
It'll be strong enough, though, if you just glue it?
Yeah, because I'm going to do some other stuff to it, too. So I'm just going to very carefully file these off. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue on this. This is CA-type glue on those prongs, where I just filed the little nubs off. A little bit over here on the side, and then the other side. And now this will just fit in this opening.
Oh, yeah. It's like it was made for it. Look
It
at
was.
that. Yeah, it fits really well, actually. That's nice.
Yeah, it is made for it. That's why it fits. This part is pretty much set up now. Now, if you notice, I've already filed the coupler mounting pad so that the coupler came out at the right height.
All right.
I had to cut actually quite a bit of material off of that.
Hmm.
But it's now higher. Well, this is upside down. Okay, the
Yeah,
engine's
yeah.
upside down. I took
Yeah.
the truck off so we can see what I'm talking about. But in any case, there's a mismatch in the level between this and this new pilot piece. See, the coupler fits through here,
Yes.
and this part right here is now at a different level than the mount.
Yeah, it's supposed to rest on the mount though, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So as it is right now, the coupler won't even fit through this opening.
Uh-huh.
And also, it would be pushing it so that it was too low,
Okay.
because it would be like pushing it down. So I need to file this like this and open up this
The
hole
Yeah, just a
in the pilot so that I can put a coupler box through and it'll still be at the right height.
Got it. Are you using that metal piece kind of as a guide to where it's
Yeah.
supposed to be?
What I want to do is I want to file this until I hit this.
Got it.
I don't
Okay.
want to file this because this
Yeah.
is already right.
Seems like from this side of things, the hole does look a little bigger.
Yeah, it's a little bigger. I had to make it slightly wider by filing it, and I also, made this part flush with this part. So now the coupler box will just slide in.
Oh, very good. So here's a question: do you glue the coupler box, or is it a screw, or how do you fix it?
This is already tapped for a 256 screw,
Okay,
so it'll just go in like this into the hole that's already drilled.
nice.
And once that, I won't put the screw in right now, but as I said before, once it's all assembled, the coupler boxes will actually keep the shell from coming from separating from the frame.
Yeah. So the only way to take the shell off by then will be to remove the coupler boxes first.
Right.
Hmm.
Because there isn't anything else holding it on.
Yeah.
So you need something. I should point out that there's a little lip around the front of the Katie coupler box, and I had to trim that off so it would fit in here, because otherwise it wouldn't go in all the way.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, it's just a stock Katie coupler box.
Very good.
So I think that's a good point to stop for now.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess that'll do it for this video podcast then.
Yeah.
So we'll be back in May and probably working on this model again.
Yeah.
So unless something else comes up between now and then, but that's the plan.
Yeah.
So we'll see everybody then. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks.